So you've got some photos and you want to try and turn this into a painting. It's not easy, is it? How many of you have struggled with a small photograph becoming a painting? So I'm just going to show you a couple of ways you can do this, which I've used, or actually this one I haven't used. Actually, I'll start with the one I haven't used. So if you've got a photograph, you can buy one of these grids and you place it over the photograph so you get it lined up so you know where your start point is, and then you can superimpose a grid over the top of the animal. And then of course if you're going to grid up, so you may have these squares on here about 1 centimetre big, so perhaps on your painting you'd make them 2 centimetres big, so you'd make the cat twice as big. So he would be that wide and a lot taller. If you want to go really big on a canvas, you can make them 3 or 4 centimetres. You get the idea. You can enlarge it, which also means that you are gridding onto the support you're going to paint. So if it's watercolour, it's quite hard to grid onto a support because you're going to leave behind the marks, whereas if you're using acrylics or oils, gridding is a good way. But what do you do if you can't grid? So one of the first things you can do is get a photocopy enlarged. This is 200% bigger than that, so it's twice as large as that. But there's not much detail in here. Typical print, isn't it? It's gone all blurry and flat, no interest whatsoever. I've still got the original reference, so I can go and look at that for the detail. But one trick is when you photocopy, make it lighter, and you might get a few more details come out. Still nothing on this side, but I have got a little bit more detail in the eye just to start me off. Of course, this only works if you're actually going to paint in an A4 size format or similar. You could make it a little bit squarer. It doesn't have to be a long A4. So you could use this and now build your painting. Again, you could draw a grid on top of this because you're not ruining the original photograph. You could make an acetate grid and then grid up again to make your painting either at the same size and just copy it, or even bigger. But that's quite complicated. Gridding, again, as I say, with watercolour doesn't really work. So let's go to the cheating side, which, oh, I hear you all cry, you can't do that. Well, you can. Of course you can. I recently went into the Castle Museum in Norwich, which has a fabulous collection of artworks with artists that were resident or learnt in Norfolk, and there's a beautiful sketchbook in there that clearly shows the artist is gridding up his small sketch, smaller than this, so that he can then put it on to a bigger canvas. So when someone tells you it's cheating, it absolutely isn't. It's just a tool you have at your disposal, so why wouldn't you use it? So this is tracing paper. It's not very expensive tracing paper, but you could use any sort of film you've got. Even sometimes greaseproof paper out the kitchen will do. You might just not see it quite so well. So we've got to reverse this, so it's a bit sort of long-winded. So all I'm going to do is follow the basic outline of the cat. And it's not just because I'm filming this for you guys, it's sometimes just better to just get on with it. Don't fiddle and worry about it too much, just get the shapes in. Are you going to copy this exactly when you are painting it? No, it's your guideline. So keep that in mind. This is a guide to get your painting in the right place before you start. Do remember that lenses on phones and even on some cameras, if you get the picture wrong, they can actually distort the image. So after you've drawn this, if it doesn't look right, adjust it until it does, because you will find some photographs they're just not working because they're actually distorted. The lens has turned the animal's got a little bit of a quirk on its side where it's stretched the edge. especially if the pet is to one side of the photo, it's more likely to have been distorted. This one isn't too bad, so we'll keep going. So I'm using my photo just to get an idea of where the lines should be if I can't see them very well. But again, this is just a guideline. I cannot see that pupil there, so I'm just going to drop it in lightly and see if it looks right. Does that look right? Yes, pretty much. Maybe some light lines here for where these whiskers would go. You can use this system for your watercolours. Many lines as I think I need, which really isn't that many. I can just adjust a little bit before I do anything else with it. You can just see that that nose seems to be a little bit further away from the mouth, but the more you get into drawing, the more you'll recognise when things aren't right. So all these whiskers, if you were really inclined, you could mask them out first before you start the painting. And the best way to do that is use a very fine point brush, which is tedious and messes up your brush. Or you can use a ruler pen, which is quite simple and gives you some sweeping lines. I would suggest you don't try and copy where these are. Just use your photo later on for reference. I might just add on some gel pen at the end, or even some white ink, just to give a hint of some whiskers. We'll see. So there's my tracing. I was quite steady with mine, but if you find your slides about all over the place, have your photo on a board, stick it down to the board first, and then stick down the paper just above it so that you can flip like this, but it won't move off of the photograph, so it's a lot more accurate. So if we take away the photograph, can't see anything there because of my wonderful attractive tablecloth. Let's pop it on top of my tracing book. There we go, we've got a rough sketch. Sometimes when you do these they look so wrong, they just don't look right, and that's how you start to adjust things to suit your actual photo. Or if you've got the animal handy, you think, well, that's not quite right. Photos are not great friends of real life because they flatten everything down. So feel free to adjust things, because you're the artist, you can see what's right and what's wrong, but don't put too much detail on. So if we then turn this over, try and put it onto a piece of paper, you can immediately see it'll be the wrong way round. So at this point I'm going to use the back of my photo. I've turned it from this side that I've just drawn on to the other side. Then I'm going to use my softest pencil I've got available. You can either do this by lightly going over broadly or over your lines. We'll do both to see what happens. And the idea being, when you turn it back over, you draw straight over it with a harder pencil. Let's see if this works. You could use charcoal, anything you've got laying around that's soft. So I'm going to take that right through the middle. And then for the other half, I'm going to literally follow the lines really roughly with my soft pencil. This one is from Derwent and it's a graphic 9B, so it's really soft. And the idea of that is that you can transfer it easier. By following the lines, you're hopefully not obliterating where you've got to go from the other side. But it's not an exact science. You can see I'm just wiggling around all over the place here. Some places I'll have caught it and some places I won't. But this is going to leave an impression we do not want. Whoops, I missed that line there. We do not want a perfect representation of our photo. We just need a guideline or two just to get us going. Now we could have drawn this freehand. If you could draw this freehand from the beginning, well done. I do like drawing them freehand. You get much more of you into the picture and a bit less of the photo. But it just depends how you like to finish. Do you want them to be completely accurate to the photo, or do you want them to be a bit more painterly, a bit more to you? There we go. So I've now completed the soft side, which means I can get some paper and reverse it back and get this cat onto the paper. So I'll just go and grab that. I'm bringing out the big guns today. This is Saunders Waterford. It's by St Cuthbert's Mill. It's made in England, and that's where I live. So I'm trying to support local businesses. I wouldn't have said these are a small business, but they are in my country, so that's why I'm supporting them. So we've got a natural white, which when you open it, you see it's a creamy colour. So this is going to work quite well for the cat's fur, etc. It's going to be a nice warm picture. It's got cotton in it, so 100% cotton, and that means it's going to hold the water when I put my washes on. And it's 300 GM and 140 pounds, both mean the same thing. It's middle weight, so it shouldn't buckle too much when I use it. It's a nice size, 9x12. So let me just point out, if you put A4 on there, you see this is a little bit wider. It's not quite such a narrow picture, but I'm probably going to put him right in the middle because he's staring straight out. So let's see if we can manage to transfer now. I'm keeping it in the pad for now because I'm not actually painting yet. So just double check I've got my picture the right way round. Settle it to where I want it sitting in the image. Remember, you are going to have a mount and a frame, so don't put it right over one side unless you wish the animal to be over that side, maybe looking back this way, so you've got more of an active composition. You do see a lot of animal portraits like this. They're not for me, I'm afraid. But whatever you think works for you, and again, you could tape it down, have this paper first, then that paper on top. I'm just going to go by just keeping my fingers on the bottom here. Now I've gone back to a 3B pencil, anything that's a bit harder than the one underneath. And then we've just got to see if it's enough, following my original line of the drawing, and then lift it off. Yep, there's a faint outline. You may not be able to see that, but that's perfect. This is exactly what I need. I don't need a really harsh outline because that is going to be underneath the watercolour, and despite the fact you can rub them off, they're still going to leave a trace. So I don't like heavy lines of pencil, but funnily enough I don't mind putting lines on my watercolour, so afterwards is the thing. So I'm following all the lines, and this side that I'm currently drawing over is the side where I tried to follow the line with a pencil on the other side. Just moved it slightly there, so concentrate, Jackie, get on with it. You can spend a bit longer, be a bit more careful than I am. Again, I'm not being super careful here. Every now and again I need to just check that I've got a line down. No, there's nothing there at all. Right, so I'm going to have to work a bit harder. Make it a little bit hardy. Depends on your paper, it depends on how much graphite you've got on the other side. So, been to the Derwent Pencil Museum recently in the Lake District, and I learnt, as some of you might not know, pencils never did contain lead, ever. It's graphite that came out of the ground. Graphite that was the first pencils ever created were made in Derwent Valley in England, in the Lake District. It's a fascinating story, and the word pencil apparently came from the original word in French, and that was pinceau or something similar like that. If you're French, please tell me how to pronounce it properly. I do apologise. Now I can't remember, I have to look up the picture as to what that actually meant. It was like rolled something. Anyway, stop chatting. Now I'm on the other side where I've done broad strokes all over underneath. Let's see if they're picking up, because if they're not, I've got to go start again. So yes, they are. They're picking up reasonably well. Not quite as much coming through as on the other side. So that shows me that it's easier to do a line over the top rather than just shading over the top. Right, let's just see if we can get a nose in, like so. Just rough guides these are. Don't really need these. I'm pressing quite hard now because I know it's quite weak under there, but it's coming through reasonably. Do apologise if you can't see any of that, because it's quite boring TV for you if you can't. Quickly carry on, finish this. Okay, now we have very, very light image here, which I can see probably much better than you can. So just for the purposes of this, I will go in and make it a little bit more obvious. There's a little kink in the ear there, so I've left that in because this particular cat has got loads of character, and he's an old boy. He's called Charlie, and he deserves to have anything that makes him stand out as uniquely him, because then it's easier to see that it's him, and hopefully his owner will be pleased with the result. So he's got almost sort of slightly sleepy eyes here. I'm just popping back in, trying to keep my eye on the photo as I do this, because this is now going to be my final drawing, so I don't want this to be way off what's actually there. But if I can't see it, just keep it very vague. Don't try and make up loads of detail if you can't actually see it in the first place, because it will not work. You'll end up with a painting that just looks off. That nose is way too firm. I'm going to have to soften that in a minute. Drawing was very important to me when I was a child. I'd spend every evening drawing, and then life took over, and it's amazing how I can still draw, but I really don't think I can draw as well as I used to. So get yourself practicing. But this is to show you that if you can't draw accurately, do not worry. Practice a bit of sketching every now and again to see if you can improve on it. It will help your paintings because you know if something's right or wrong. Now I'm just looking at this now, and I can see, I'm sure you've already noticed, look how big that eye is compared with that eye. So because this hasn't got much detail, the chances are I've overdone it. So let's bring that right in. It's on slightly a slant, so his eyes are slightly slanted across, aren't they? So that's okay. But he's definitely, let's try and match the eye style to the other one. Just bring it up there. So it's a bit, now I'm going to have to take those lines off. I'm on Saunders, so that's not too much of a problem. If I was on a cheap paper, it might not like that, me taking these lines off quite so much. So bear that in mind. It's already looking a bit harsh and overdone. This is why it's important to get everything in and then just put away your photo, really, if you can bear to, and start working from instinct as to what looks right, what looks wrong. I could do loads of measurements and all that sort of thing. Like I said earlier though, the photo could be out anyway. Sometimes the best paintings are where you put the photo away, because it's done its job, it's given you a start point, but it's no longer useful. It's got a little bit of a jowl there. Let's pop that in. That's not really come through on the original one. And it goes slightly like that here. It's beginning to look a bit more like his chin. All under here is just fur. All I need is a suggestion of where it might be light and dark. Maybe there's the dark under there. And he's got this beautiful bib, hasn't he? It's very fluffy. I know that much about Charlie. Okay, so a white one here. It's up to you what you put in the background. I'm even ignoring his back. His back is going off here, but I'm just keeping it as if he's face on. All this is going to be very soft anyway. Trusty erasers, also from Derwent, and these are quite nice to hold. They've got a little place for your finger. So now I can very gently start to take off these excess lines that I definitely didn't quite get right. So tracing is no guarantee of success. It's just another tool in your armoury for you to have a go to see if it helps you. If it's not helping, you're finding it's making your paintings heavier, not quite right, then you know just to loosely trace, use a little bit of it, and then go back to your instinct. Let's bring that eye down a little bit. I'm not using much of the photo now. I'm using my eye. Do his eyes look right? Let's face it, without the eyes, this isn't going to work, is it? However much of a beginner you are, you know that the eyes have got everything. If you get them wrong, that's it. That portrait of an animal has gone. And for people as well. Once they're in the right place, looking like the animal you're trying to capture, you're pretty much there. The rest of it is just fair and fun. I do love doing animals because, oh my goodness, aren't they, compared with a person, animals are full of fur. You know, what better subject could you have? Fluffy stuff that you can put anywhere you like, doesn't really matter. Don't tell any portrait painters of pets that, because they will be very cross with me. It's a highly technical thing that they do, and I'm not disrespecting them at all. But it is a lot easier to hide mistakes in conformation if an animal has got long fur than it is if an animal is sleek, or if it's a human portrait where there's the only thing you've got there is clothes to help you. Oh, just had some thunder. Okay. Oh, now we've got a great tit outside. We've currently got 8 great tit babies in our nest box. Right, Charlie boy, how are you looking? Let's come back to a proper stare at your photograph. It's very small, isn't it? So again, we could do measurements, but we know we put the eyes in the right place because we trace them. So it just shows you how photos can really throw your balance off. So if we take that nose to about here, and then that one to about here, that looks better. Hopefully you're following along with this and understanding what I'm trying to achieve. It's one of those things, you can see it or you can't, and you have to learn that by practice and instinct, really. I can't tell you how I know that some of this is right and some of this is wrong. It's just my experience. And I've proven to you already that tracing it straight off does not guarantee it's exactly right, because it might not be. You can adjust, keep all your lines soft, adjust as you go. Be careful not to put too much detail in this nose, I'm overdoing it, so take that off. because all these lines will be there forever. And his little nose is just going to be an edge, which of course will show up better with the paint. Right, let's have a little look. I'm thinking it's about the end of his chin needs to come in like that. Just about, or does it? You could spend hours, literally hours. The best thing to do is do this, go away and come back, and then you'll see where the things are not quite right, because your brain will say, aha, I've had a rest from looking at it, and now I can see what needs doing. So on that note, I shall stop filming, go and make a coffee, come back and have a look at it, laugh out loud at my ineptitude, and hope you do better. Right, I've had my coffee, I'm back. So this is looking okay. To be honest with you, I walked in and thought, well, yeah, that looks like Charlie Boy, so I'm not too fussed about doing much more. But here's a trick. If you can't see the obvious, turn it upside down. This is one of the simplest tricks that you will ever find for stopping seeing something as your brain thinks it should see it, and see it for what it really is, a series of shapes. As soon as you do that, you've sort of got the line of the eyes here, you've got the line of the nose there, and then this end of the nose is a different shape to that end, so that's slightly wrong, so I could take that end out there. So again, the photo's there, it's reasonably helpful, but I'm not relying on it half so much as I was, but it's just helping me see what's wrong with this part of the pitch. His mouth needs to go a bit straight, go slightly on an angle, isn't it, like that. Then his mouth, this is all very loose, and it's just going to be a greyish area in there. This area of his mouth does go beyond that area, so let's take it back out again. Keep it loose, take it away completely, it helps. This area over here, yeah, that works okay. Oh, the farmers are busy, they're excited it's raining. We have need a little bit of rain in East Anglia, where I live, the driest part of England. Right, now looking at that, I've got two eyes. It's an obvious thing to say, but you'd be surprised. I haven't got any more detail on this eye here, so I've just got to sort of softly put in what I think's there, very softly. Don't overdo this, because if it's wrong, it's going to look really wrong. We just want an idea of where that's going to be. And can I see anything else? I can see a harsh glaring line. Let's get rid of that, and probably some of that, so we don't need that. Same as here. Okay, I think I'm more or less happy with that without spending an absolute age on it. Oh, it's one of those things you'll find yourself going back over and over again, but you can see those lines are too harsh, so take them right out. There we go, that's better. Okay, Charlie, I think you are drawn, and I'm happy that I've captured him. Try another photo if you've got another photo, just to have a look at the character of the cat. And this one's a slightly different angle than this one. This one's a bit darker, and his eyes are closed a bit more, so you can see he's got some knobbly bits on his ear, which I haven't really captured, so I can just sort of include that little knobble there. Knobble, poor boy, sorry Charlie. It's your very beautiful ears, there we go. And this one, we caught one here, that looks about right. So it's just those little quirks that I'm adding in. You can see his character very clearly on there, can't you? Very laid back cat. Okay, that I think will do. One thing I haven't shown you is trace down paper. I'll pop a link in the description. Trace down is very much like the old-fashioned carbon paper. You lay it on there, you get your original print, which you know you've got to make it bigger to make this work. So if you haven't got a printer, you might go to your local library or business and order a print like this, just a thin one. Don't waste your money on a photograph unless you want a big photograph, and then lay that over the top of trace down, which lays flat face down on the picture, and then you draw on here, and there, that way it transfers from the trace down to the paper. I'm sorry I haven't got any. I have looked everywhere and I can't find it. But if you're my age, you'll know what carbon paper is, and that's exactly the same thing. It's just a cleaner version, but it still leaves a little bit of residue, so it can be quite messy. So tracing paper is often quite a nice way to simply capture a photograph. And don't forget, reverse it and then put it back over the same way onto your paper. Right, thanks for watching that. I hope you've found some of that helpful. If you want to carry on with me and paint this picture, look out for the next video where I'm going to paint it in watercolour. Thanks for watching and see you on the next video. Happy sketching, drawing and whatever else you want to call it, scribbling, but in this case, happy tracing. Enjoy it. Bye for now.